they do have something to share, something that keeps them strong in the faith. So as you share with us today, we do hope that it will be a blessing to many other young people who are out there and sometimes seemingly are hopeless and have nowhere else to turn. So we do hope that this afternoon, from you sharing your faith, it will motivate them, it will encourage them and stimulate them to be focused, to be committed, and most of all, to serve Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. So we welcome you this afternoon to the program, and you can feel comfortable that, yes, you have nothing
to fear.
Thank you. So,
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, afternoon, Elder.
How are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Good. All right. So how are you coping? There's a lot going on as a young person. How are you coping with all that's going on at this time? The restrictions and all of those stuff. How are you coping?
It's just one step at a time, really. I can't do too much, can't do too little. It's just me trusting God and hoping that it's ride out the storm.
Okay. All right. So you just trust in one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Okay. All right. Okay. So tell us a little about yourself now. How your life, your upbringing so far.
Well, for starters, I guess I started my age. I'm 18. I attended the Antigua Grammar School. Grew up in an Adventist home, both mother and father. I guess I'm a singer as well. That's one of my talents. I enjoy playing basketball. That's one of my favorite sports. And I guess I don't know much more to say. I enjoy spending time with God in His Word, praying, and that's a must. And I guess I'm just how to share my faith this afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. You're a lover of basketball. Who's your favorite player? You're a Kobe fan or?
I was a Steph.
Steph. All right. So I assume you're a point guard also.
Point guard, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. But, it is such a treat when we find a young man such as you walking and serving God and wanting, just to dedicate your life to Him and to live for Him. So this is refreshing to have you on and to hear that is the path that you're walking in. Let me ask you the question, what drew you to Christ at such an early age?
Well, it was a lot of stuff, really. I went to Antigua State College. I think that's where it all happened for me. I wasn't really I was Adventist. I was Christian. I grew up in the Christian household, but I guess just hearing the word of God doesn't really change you. I guess it's more of you hearing and believing. I guess when I started first year of college and things started going well, you're a new college student, you're learning new stuff, meeting new people. For starters, I went to an all-boys school, so, going up there, and it was a mixed school now, girls came into factor and that kind of stuff. And that kind of threw me off. But when the challenges started coming, when schoolwork started coming, when, the things that you planned for your life didn't start going the way you wanted, I guess those stuff kind of push you against the wall, and the only thing you can really do is look up. And I guess during that moment, that's what I did. I looked up and I saw God, and from that point onward, it was just, upwards from there.
Fantastic. So how has your life changed? How has life been different for you since that moment, since you really surrendered to Christ? How has life been different for you?
Well, you still have your ups, you still have your downs. There's still a lot of stuff that you're still learning each and every day. You never do get it perfect. It's just all about falling and getting back up. I guess, but for starters, for a change in my life, beforehand, I was just falling. I didn't really have anyone to pick me up, but now I have Christ, and that made all the difference because now I know I have someone, in my corner cheering me on, giving me the strength to go on each and every day. It's definitely changed in my family life. The way I relate to my siblings, how I relate to my friends. You know, I play basketball. I remember one time I was playing and a guy was like, "Why do you play basketball so nice?" I was like, "What?" Right? And I, I said, "He didn't know. He didn't." It was kind of like a shock to him. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just God and me doing, stuff through me. And as a result of that, I started getting Bible studies and whatnot. And, he kind of changed his faith. And, no, I think what church he goes at Jennings or I'm not pretty sure. I think it was Parma Jennings. But yeah, it's changed a lot since I've met Christ, since I've, became a child of his. Things have definitely changed. There's a lot more hope, a lot more peace, a lot more joy. And I think that's the essence of Christianity.
Amazing, amazing. So you're not only serving Christ, but you're also by your example, by your life, and just by your friendship, leading others to come to know this Jesus Christ, whom you have come to know personally.
Yep.
Amazing. Tell me something. You said that you grew up in an Adventist home. How much of an influence do you think that your upbringing in the home had on you coming to know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior?
I mean, I remember my siblings. That was one of my greatest challenges. Somehow family just knows how to get on your skin other than anybody else. And I guess just how it relates into my siblings, it was kind of like a challenge because me coming to Christ, changing my whole demeanor, the way I think, the way I act, it was kind of like a challenge for them because me acting a different way from how I normally act because God, using me and being in me, you have the tendency to come off looking like if you're better than anyone, in a sense, right? And I remember just trying to, stay focused and still being able to meet them on their level and try to, elevate in a sense. And I remember just continually doing me, trusting God that he's going to work something out. And one day I was speaking to my little brother and I began, just telling him stuff about Christ and what he's done for my life, because that's all we really can do. We can only talk from our experience. And I remember just sharing my experience with him and he was so fascinated. And I remember just sharing stories of, books I read from Ellen White, Alejandro Bullion and all those people. And, he got fascinated and eventually he came over. And from then my big brother, became even more stronger in his faith. My parents are always strong, but seeing how the children, began coming to Christ, we all got stronger and now we're just a happy, united household. I mean, we still face our problems, but as I said, Jesus is in the vessel. So every storm we face, we can smile at it. And I guess that's just one change Jesus has been wrought in my life. And it's amazing to see what he's been doing, not only in my family, as I said, in my friends, and even in my life. And yeah, that's it.
Wow, tremendous, tremendous. So your parents must be just overwhelmed to see the impact that Christ is having in you and the impact that you are in turn having on the family and the wider community.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. So there are lots of challenges that you must face as a young man growing up. I can only imagine that they come in different shape and different forms. So what are some of the things that you do to try to keep yourself grounded? You mentioned earlier that sometimes we fall, we get up, and that's part of the life. But how do you try to stay grounded from day to day?
Most of my life is basically prayer. Besides from reading and studying the Bible and normal Christian stuff, I mostly spend most of my time being focused and regaining my strength on my knees. Because I was reading a book one time, it was an Ellen White book. And as you said, challenges do come in many different shapes and sizes, in different ways, and in ways you really can't imagine. I mean, the devil uses like the simplest thing to get you, the smallest, right? And I remember reading this book, this Ellen White book, and it was speaking a lot about prayer being, the key to unlocking God's strength in your life, resisting temptation, and even, helping others around you. And I remember, trying it out for myself. I was praying real fervently on my knees one day, and I was facing like a real challenge. And I remember after I got off my knees, I felt like the presence of God, the power of Him resting on me, and I felt like I was able to overcome that. And that's how I cope with my problems. Otherwise, in praying, if I want to like forget about something or anything, I take it to the court, play basketball, and that kind of gets my mind off of certain things I don't want to think about. But prayer is always the first option.
Fantastic. Do you find that reading the Bible helps you also?
Pardon?
Do you find that sometimes reading the Bible helps you also to face those challenges,
Definitely. There's like over 1,000 promises in the Bible, that speak to you resisting temptation and battling those stuff. I remember reading, I actually downloaded the app. It's called the Big Book of Promises, and it has all the promises for fear, for depression, for anger, for courage, all that stuff. And the Bible really does have everything you need to battle against the devil. When Jesus was tempted up in the mountain in the wilderness, he used the word of God. He said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone." And that is our number one fight. That and prayer are our number one weapons against the devil's attacks, against his temptations. And I definitely do find it's a great help in me battling my temptations.
Absolutely. So, are you at this point of your life? Do you regret that you ever gave your life to Christ?
Regret? No, of course not. It's in a sense, yes, it's hard, and yes, it will pose its challenges. But regretting is something I'll never do, because as I said, before time, I was a lot worse off than how I am now. And just seeing how God has brought about a change in my life, I find it a lot more relaxing. Even I have peace in the trials. Basically, I have peace in the temptations. A life with Jesus represents joy in the struggle, right? And I think that's important as a young man growing up. I do face challenges, but I regret. Nah, I never once regretted it.
Fantastic. Absolutely. So you spoke about your parents and your family, and obviously they provide some strong measure of support to you. But as a young man, is there anyone outside of your family as a Christian that encourages you, that you look to for support? And in what way does that person help you along your Christian journey?
Anyone else? Well, I guess I have some friends, and it's really important as a Christian, that you surround yourself with people of the same faith, people of the same mindset as you. I think the text in the Bible says, "A man who walks with wise men will be wise," right? And as a Christian growing up, I had to find myself some wise friends, because honestly, when one brother is down, another can lift him up. And that's what it's always been. I guess just if you have one of Michael, Samuel, those guys there, Deshaun, they've been there for me in my lowest times. They've been a source of encouragement, a source from God helping me to walk this Christian walk, me helping them. And it's always just about uplifting each other. And I guess they are, besides my family, people that keep me strong and firm in the faith.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, you guys have been coming on to the morning program, the morning prayer session, and you are truly inspiring us who are slightly more advanced in age than you are, but you're certainly providing a breath of fresh air to us there in the morning. So we want to encourage you to continue in that way. Right?
Thank you.
Right. So tell me now, is there any particular experience that you've had in your life so far that has really challenged your faith, and how did you deal with it?
An experience that really challenged my faith.
Yes.
I guess it would be, there's a lot to try. I'll try to look for one of them in my mind. I guess it was me coming out of college. That was one that really tried my faith. Honestly, I think that was the biggest one. I remember deciding in my mind when I just came to Christ and I just started following him. I mean, deep down, since secondary school, I always knew I wanted to be a pastor, but it wasn't the cool thing at the time, peer pressure and all that. Everyone wanted to be a doctor. Everyone wanted to be a lawyer, a pilot, those jobs. And I wanted to be a pastor, but, it was kind of weird to me speaking that out in the all boys school. So, I kept that secret. And I remember going to college. I studied law at college, but coming to Christ and, him leading my life, I decided finally, okay, I want to be a pastor. And I remember after I decided that, after I said, okay, I'm going to be a pastor, I left college with faith, not believing that God is going to, get me into state college and into university, USC, and I would start studying there. And leaving college, God was silent on the matter. I didn't know what he was doing. I was just, I was like, what did you do? Right. And I remember just praying fervently because in my mind, I was like, I hope I didn't leave state college for nothing. And that was like a really trying time for me, my faith. And I remember it was after like months of praying, right? Like, I don't know if anyone, one of you in the audience ever prayed months on end, something that you really wanted, and in your heart that you felt that God was calling you to this. And for some reason, he had been silent on the matter. I remember God directed me to the story of David. And I remember the story was saying David was anointed in his teenage years to be king. And he only made it to being king when he was 30. And God had already appointed him for it, right? I mean, he was working in the palace with Saul, and Saul was basically in his throne. That was basically David's throne because God already anointed him for it. And I remember he only became king after 30 years of hardship and trial running from Saul. And I guess that story really taught me that sometimes, God really does anoint you for something. He really does appoint you for something, but you just have to wait on him to move in his time, because sometimes, he sees ahead, and probably the situation or the time that you're looking at probably might make you end up failing in the task, right? And honestly, looking back on how God has led me from that experience at State College to where I am now, if I had gone into USC at that time, the things I've learned now, the experience I've gained, the things that he's taught me, I would not have learned them. The things he's brought me through, how much faith he's building in me, I would not have gotten all that. And right now, it's just me trusting him. I still believe in it. I still believe that he's going to lead me to that task one day. And I'm honestly just trusting him to do it in his time and in his way, in however way he wants it. And that's one of the experiences that tried my faith.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So through it all, you're learning to trust in God's timing and his way of doing things, and realizing that he's always right and his way is always best.
Yep. That's all. That's
powerful. That's powerful. And I do believe, and I do know that if God has placed that calling in your heart, he is going to make the way for you to serve him in that particular calling. So be strong in your faith and continue to serve him in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, certainly you have friends who are Christians, and I suppose you would have friends who are non-Christians. What are some of the questions that they ask you, and how do you try to point them in the way of Christ?
My non-Christian friends?
Yes.
Okay. This is the experience of at State College. I mean, most of my life, my Christian life, happened up at State College. Because I guess that was a period of time I actually met Christ. I remember they had this topic about, carnival and should we go to carnival and what's not. And me being a baby Christian just come to Christ, I wasn't too sure as how to, tell them, hey, this is wrong. You didn't want to just come right out and say, hey, it's wrong. So I was like thinking in my mind, God, I want to, witness to these people in a way where I won't turn them away and I'll bring them to you. And I remember just there sitting down and I was listening to it and I was like, in my mind, I was saying 1, 2, 3, now. And, you're kind of still chickening out. But eventually I opened my mouth and said, I got something to say. And everybody's watching me, I was like, oh man, what did I do? And I remember finally saying, I asked them the question if they would think, or could they picture Jesus in a carnival, right? That was the only person. I didn't have to say anything else after that. And one of them said, we are just having fun, and in a sense, and that's not what they do say. I'm just having fun. Jesus understands I'm having fun, and I try to show them what you might call fun, what Jesus, calls holy Christian fun. It's two different stuff, right? And as being children of Him, our lives are not our own, right? And I think sometimes we kind of forget that. We kind of act like if we own our lives and, we have the breath every morning, like somehow we give ourselves breath, and we act like if Jesus doesn't or God doesn't exist. And I remember just, explain to them that, Jesus really is real, God is real, and He is up there, He's watching, and He really expects of us to do what He has positioned or given us a life to do. And after explaining all that, it was just a level of respect gained for you as a Christian. I mean, you would walk into a room and everybody would be talking some perverse and, wrong. And when you walk in, it would be just silence. Like, okay, the child of God is watching, let's stop all nonsense, right? And it was just like that. I mean, they had that level of respect. Once you can stand up for what you believe and know what you believe, and being able to put that over in an effective way, I think people really do not only gain respect for you, but respect for God. And I think that's the main important thing about being a Christian and following Christ and being able to share your faith. That's what we're doing this evening.
Powerful. So do you ever get do you ever feel a little nervous about sharing your faith?
I came on here as,
as a young Christian, you have friends, and perhaps sometimes you will have encountered in church young people that were once walking with God and now turned their back, so to speak, on the Lord and have left the faith. And what word of advice would you have for them, and how would you try to encourage them?